Welcome back to Quick Resume episode 10, everybody. We did it. We're at episode 10. My name is Deck. I'm your host. I'm joined by my handsome co-host, Tim. Say hello, Tim.
Thank you. Hello. I'm very glad to be here for episode 10.
Episode 10, man.
I know, it's pretty crazy to think, actually. Yeah, double figures. We did it. And this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Your friends just get a little bit too comfortable during lockdown. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
we don't have a sponsor. We don't have a sponsor yet.
Yeah.
But if you guys, hit that like and subscribe and share button,
yeah,
you might have Manscaped as a sponsor.
Exactly. Or Sneak.
So, or Sneak.
I could have some
really
Sneak.
Anyone. I'll take anything, really. I'll promote any product, whether it's bad or good. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that we have been doing this
PlayStation.
for like 10 solid weeks, though.
Yeah, 10 weeks, wow.
And we haven't missed a week, which is good for us.
Well, that is
Relatively
surprising.
busy lives.
Yeah, we do. Well, congratulations me, congratulations you.
Yes, yeah, pats on the back all round.
Tug ourselves off of doing 10 episodes, recording ourselves while we speak shit.
Off podcast, of course.
Yeah, of course. Unless you want that, in which case, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with that, what? How has your week been, buddy? What have you been up to?
My week's been pretty good. It's been pretty chilled out, both on sort of the gaming front and just general life, really. Just sort of easing back into the week after the bank holiday weekend, and yeah, nothing too crazy. I've been playing a lot of Apex Season 9 with you, which dropped.
Apex Season 9.
When did that drop? That dropped on Tuesday, didn't it? Yeah, last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I've been playing a little bit of that. Obviously, we're big fans of Apex Legends, if you have been listening to the previous episodes of the podcast.
Yeah.
We do love it. It's definitely the best Battle Royale, in my opinion.
I mean, we're shooter fans in general, right? You'd probably say that.
Yeah. We've definitely had history with things like Halo, all the like Halo 3, Halo 4, 5, all that sort of stuff. We used to play the Call of Duties back in Black Ops days and stuff like that.
Yeah,
kind of
big
dropped
stint
off.
on Overwatch as well.
Yeah. We played a lot of Overwatch. I feel like there was another similar sort of shoot, but I mean, we tend to try most
Siege.
shooters on the market. Yeah, Siege. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We do.
I think Apex is definitely the one we've always come back to, and we've like solidly just kept going and kept coming back to every single season. And yeah, this is probably their biggest season ever. And yeah, we've been enjoying their new like competitive 3v3 mode, which is good and bad. I do like it, and in a lot of ways, and in some ways it does kind of trigger me and annoy me. Because it's a lot slower and it's a bit campier and stuff like that. But I think that's because people, as I rightfully said, I think people are just still learning the maps and the rotations and stuff like that. I think that sort of campy play style will phase out as people get more comfortable with the maps. But yeah, so that's been good fun, and obviously I've been playing that with you a bit. And that's really been it on the gaming front. I've been sitting on the fence about getting the new Resident Evil, which I did say I would probably in the last podcast, and I don't know.
It's been doing really well.
Yeah, it has been doing really well.
Everyone's been loving it. Even I've been tempted to actually jump into it because it's not. I always thought. I know we spoke about it last week. I always thought they were all continuations of one another, but they're not. They're like it's more like anthology kind of thing, isn't it? It's all like same world, but different stories in that same world, right?
Exactly. It all connects back. There's one theme to them all, with the Umbrella Corporation and the T-Virus and stuff like that. It all kind of stems back to that. Like even this stuff here in Resident Evil 8 with werewolves and vampires and stuff like that. In these you see like Umbrella Corporation symbols and stuff like that everywhere, and they link it back somehow. I don't know, but I have been really tempted. It just feels weird to drop £65 on a game these days. it
does.
just feels weird. I really feel like, and like we've got some stuff on the horizon. Like, well, we're loving Apex again. You know, we're going to probably be playing some Hood tomorrow. I think that comes out tomorrow. And there was something else. What was there? There was something else.
There's Knockout City.
There's Knockout City just around the horizon as well. Yeah. So I was like, I really wanted to play Resi, but I was just like, I don't know if I'll just find the time, because when you guys are online, I play those sort of games, and like
there's a lot of multiplayer stuff.
It just feels weird to drop 65 quid on a game these days.
I do feel, unless it's a game, unless it's a game that you can feel you can like 100% commit yourself to, it's quite hard to drop that much money. Like Games Pass, of course, like go for it, and like you're operating on a limited time, but even if it's going to leave, like you make time and then you buy it on a 10% discount, you know, so it's like, well, that's not really a big deal. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. You do feel a bit spoiled by it. It's like, well, because I've been thinking about, I've been having a look recently on see if I can get my hands on a PS5, like with my birthday coming up and everything, our birthday coming up and everything as well, and I was just thinking, oh, you know, it might be quite nice to like buy Miles Morales or Dark Demon Souls or something, because like I've kind of caught up with my backlog. Like I've got stuff to play, but like there's nothing really that I'm dying to play right now. Like I want to play Dishonored 2 on an FPS boost. I wouldn't mind like going back and playing GTA 5, because I think I said to you, like I've always wanted to like fully play through a GTA game, and I've never done that. And Mass Effect is coming around the corner, which I would properly play through, I think. But like if there was something that I could like play right now, like I would sit down and just like whip up like Demon Souls or something, you know, or Returnal. But then I was thinking, like, man, even if I did have a PS5, like, would I really be okay with like dropping 70 quid on one of those games? £70. Oh, so I don't know. It's weird. The industry's in a really weird place with this sort of stuff at the moment, and price and value. And I think this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but we were talking a bit about sort of Resi 8 and sort of review scores. But there's this constant back and forth of like whether people should listen to review scores or not listen to review scores, or, you know, Metacritic is worthless, OpenCritic is worthless, or it's not, and there's like, you know, fanboy troglodytes like lapping up every point that comes in. But I do think, like, I get it that a lot of people think that there's maybe an over-reliance on scores. Like, I totally get that. However, the reason, other than there being maybe a young fan base in video games and this weird culture around console wars, games are expensive. Like, these are expensive hobbies, and I don't think it's weird at all that somebody wants at least a 7 or an 8 out of 10 experience if they're dropping £70 on it. It's not a big deal if you go and see a movie and it's a 5 out of 10, you're like, that was a bit shit. You know, it's £5 down the drain.
4 or 5 quid, yeah.
So, like, of course, like, you know, I don't think that's any real surprise. And this even, like, comes back round to the whole, you know, scale. Like, because a lot of people criticise that for video games, like, a 7 is considered an average, even though, you know, on a bell curve, 5 should be the average. But I think it just makes sense because people are more regularly buying 7s, and people are more regularly churning out 7s because they know there's a value proposition in games where there's less so with anything else, really. So, spending 70 quid, I think, it's only going to make that worse. That's the thing. As inflation kicks in, Game Pass can maybe, and you are seeing people like mention Game Pass in their reviews now sometimes as well. So that might change things, especially if Sony make a competitor as well. But it's only going to get worse if things keep going in the way they're going. You know, it's just it's that value. It's like, I need at least an 8.5 out of 10, or it's not worth my money, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, for sure. There definitely is that. I mean, I'm not huge on like review scores. Like, I like to know that a game's done well, but what I like to do is just get my own sort of personal opinion on the game, and I tend to do that by literally just going onto YouTube or something like that. And there's a couple YouTubers, I forgot what they're called. I think one of them is called like Rad Brad or something. But like they basically get these games like a week early or whatever. And I basically just like to watch like half of like their first episode sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Just so like part 1, you know, right at the beginning of the game, I watch maybe like half an hour of it. So like it doesn't give me major spoilers. It's not the end of the world that when I then get that game, I have to play that half an hour that I kind of already know. but like it gives me an idea of the game, it gives me a vibe of the game and stuff like that. You know, basic combat, basic storytelling, where it's going, and then I decide whether or not I want to get the game. Which is kind of what I've done with Resi A. I've watched I think the first 20 minutes of gameplay on it, and it did make me want to buy it. So that's probably a good sign. And I
don't know.
I do think I am going to buy it, to be honest.
Well, the thing is, it's only going to get cheaper, isn't it? So
yeah, and I guess I'm in no immediate rush to buy it, but it does look fun. And hang on, my dog just needs to get out. I'll carry on talking while I.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so I think I am going to get it, but I'm still very much on the fence about it. But yeah, long story short, that's basically been my week. So nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, how's yours been?
Cool. Yeah, I think I can't remember if I mentioned last week, but I just started Dishonored, Death of the Outside. I started and finished Death of the Outsider over the last week or two. I can't remember. Since it got its FPS boost, I've been waiting to play that on FPS boost, and thankfully it came out. But for some reason, they haven't given Dishonored 2 the boost yet, because I've already played that, but I kind of want to go back and play it again. Because for those who have played it, you play. There are 2 protagonists you can play as, and I kind of want to play as the other one. So. Yeah, and that was good. For those who don't know, Dishonored's one of my favourite IPs out there. I think it'll probably be given a rest for a while now. I don't think we'll see it again for a while, but obviously it's Arcane who make that, who are now under I've always been under the Bethesda umbrella, but now under Xbox as well. And they made Prey as well, which Prey was obviously awesome as well. And I think a lot of people have been going back to that now with the frame rate boost and the new consoles and been really appreciating it. So yeah, I've been playing Dishonored Death of the Outsider, and that's been great. I completed that, and that was good. It wasn't as good as 1 or 2, but it was still good. It's just more of Dishonored 2, really, with puts a bit of a bow in the series. But yeah, it was good.
So is it its own separate title, or is it
it's a standalone.
It's a standalone title. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, you play as Billy Lurk. I was saying Billy the other day.
Who's Billy? Yeah, we were talking about this last night.
Yeah, Billy was. Billy is Dowd. So Dowd is one of the main antagonists in the game, at least in the first game, anyway. And Billy's his right hand woman. And she's voiced by Rosario Dawson, and she's fucking great. Who is she? She's the She's the love interest? I don't know. She's the main woman in Daredevil, the Netflix series.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, she's really fucking good. But yeah, it's a standalone game, and it's probably only 8 hours long. It's not very long. But yeah, it's just they've made a couple of changes which were quite good as well, which hopefully they take forward with them if they ever do any more Dishonored games. But yeah, that was really good. I'm glad I finally got to get around to that and finish that series off. And I've also been playing It Takes Two. Me and my partner have been a bit sick this week, so I just thought, and I've been looking at it for a while. I thought we can get it and just play, and it was £35 for us. And obviously that game had been received really well. Do you know much about that game, It Takes Two?
Yeah, I do know. Yeah, I do know a little bit about it. Nothing too much, apart from it's just a co-op sort of.
Yeah,
style game.
It's the same guy that did A Way Out, and Brothers, the tale of boys. Yeah, that guy. What's he called? Joseph something. He's the guy who was the Video Game Awards and started saying that the Oscars are shit and that this is the real Video Game Awards. It's that dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Who's this guy called, man? This is going to really piss me off. Anyway, the studio is called Hazelight Studios, but I can't remember the dude's name, which is really annoying. So their thing is making co-op games, Joseph Fares, that's his name. It Takes Two has obviously been received really well. I think it's sitting on 88 on OpenCritic. Wow. A lot of people are putting it forward for a Game of the Year contender already. And man, it's really good. yeah, I mean, it's like the story is whatever. It's a bit whoa, but other than that, like the gameplay's really good. A lot of the puzzles are really good. All of the co-op elements are really good. Like I think you can really tell that this is a studio that like thrive and make a lot of co-op games. You're not just doing shit together. You like rely on one another to do stuff that you do. And it's a lot of the puzzles and like things that you do. Like a lot of the time, you'll get different tools. So like I think in the first mission, one of you gets a hammer, and the other gets nails. And you can throw the nails like javelins, and then you can use the hammer to like swing across the nails, but also it doubles up as smacking stuff around. So yeah, it's just really good. Yeah, 88 on OpenCritic at the moment. I could definitely see why, and it's quite light. We've put probably over 10 hours into it, and we're still going. So and all the environments are really nice. It performs super smooth on Series X. I think it's a really well earned score, and I think it definitely could be a Game of the Year contender, which I'd love to see because you don't see these sort of games get that much exposure usually, you know. They always get. Yeah, they always tend to do quite well review-wise, and people will always be like, "Oh yeah, you know, they're really smart and clever the way they design their levels and stuff like that," and they're like generally quite appreciated, but like it's just low key, like appreciated. They're like always in the background, and they never really get the spotlight too often. So yeah, it's definitely nice to see a game like that do well. I feel like a Way Out also, you know, did well and got a decent amount of exposure too. So it definitely seems like that sort of genre is, you know, coming up a little bit. So yeah, but it's it's cool because like a lot of them are like co-op is mandatory kind of thing. You know, it can only be played co-op, which is kind of risky. You know, it can alienate a lot of people. And I would have definitely thought that this sort of game couldn't get above an 85, like just because of and I say that I think maybe I'm wrong on some of it, but like I get the impression that sometimes like with multiplayer shooters and stuff, like they generally don't score as high as single player. I just feel like single player games, I don't want to go on like my whole rant about like reviews and how this is it's early for video games and we don't know how to review them yet, but I feel like the standard by which we review games typically is by parallel to like a cinematic achievement. So when games are really similar to cinema, that's like, this is very easy to review. But when you're looking at something like a multiplayer shooter, it's like, well, where do you even begin? You know, that's quite a new thing. This has only been happening for like 20, 30 years. Like, where do you even begin to review that? So like by that virtue, it's like quite hard to like accurately put in like a good number or give out a thoughtful review other than, you know, me shooty, me kill kind of thing.
For sure.
So I'm glad to see this sort of I'm glad to see a niche genre, I guess, or a fringe genre like this sort of really thrive. But it is really good, man. I'll probably talk more about it as we sort of push towards the end. I totally recommend it to anyone who wants. Is looking for a co-op game out there. It's probably the best co-op dedicated game I've played.
Okay. And is it nice and sort of friendly mechanic wise? It's not too overwhelming for someone who, you know, doesn't play games that often or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. It is. But it's not too easy. It's not too hard. It's not. It does manage to keep itself challenging. But it's always giving you like you get to the end of a mission and then you get new tools, kind of thing. Like you get a different set of tools to use in a different environment. So a lot of it is kind of thinking creatively. There's like one, but it's weird. At one point, it like turns into a fighting game. It's crazy. Like it goes through like everything. And it just does it really, really well. And obviously, like because Beth, my partner, she's only really played, like she just recently finished Breath of the Wild, and so she's still like not too good at like kind of using twin sticks for stuff. Which is a hell of a lot better than she used to be because she's finished Zelda now. But it was accessible to her, and it's not. I don't think it would be so easy to the point where if you got like me and you to play it, that we'd be bored.
Yeah.
You know, and there's still risk of if you both die at the same time, you wipe, and it doesn't set you far back, but so it's that kind of thing.
It's the Dark Souls of co-op platforms.
It's the Dark Souls of co-op games, exactly.
Just had to throw that one in there.
But yeah, good man.
Okay, cool, yeah, because it's always that fine line with those sort of games is, yeah, if you dumb them down too much, then they're boring for people that play games quite often. But you do feel like they are kind of catered towards, the more casual experience as well.
Yeah.
Like you playing it with your girlfriend, or, loads of people playing it with their girlfriends or their, children or anything like that. I feel like that's kind of what those games do cater to. But then they've obviously got to not make it too dumbed down as well.
Yeah.
It could be quite hard to find a balance, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I think they've clearly put a lot of thought into it, because it's like the whole game is played split screen. So like I'm fairly sure if you do it online, it's still split screen. Like you can see each other's screen.
Okay.
So like and all the tools that you get, it's all 50-50. Like you can't do it for your partner. Like if you were playing like a looter shooter like Destiny, and you were trying to walk someone through that, you could just kill everyone for them, kind of thing. You can't do that in this. Because you have you need to use each other's tools, so you kind of end up communicating a lot to try and compensate for any gap in skill. But I don't think it would be. I think it's well balanced. Where, like, of course, like we wouldn't struggle like if we played it at all, but it would be engaging enough where it would be fun.
Yeah, it's not like Cuphead.
Oh,
It's just put my head through a wall.
Yeah.
Frustrating and difficult, but also one of the best games I've ever played.
It's the Dark Souls of Cup games, really, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. So that's me, man. It Takes Two and Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. Been
Nice.
good. Feeling not
Good
sick
week.
now, so that's good. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool. Well, in terms of what's been happening this week, there has been a few sort of ongoing bits and bobs. I feel like I say that every week, bits and bobs. Some of the stuff around the Halo Infinite employee or the ex-Halo X343 employee, I think is what I'm trying to say, who said some stuff and then sort of clarified that, and then there's also been stuff happening around the Epic and Apple case, which has been all a bit weird, actually. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as we finished last week's podcast, it got announced that 70 more games were being added to FPS boost. So we actually haven't spoken about this because this happened literally as we clicked the finish recording button last week,
I remember.
and that's obviously while I've been playing Dishonored. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, I think some big ones just off the top of my head. Far Cry 5 was added.
Nice.
I can't remember anything else. It's just Far Cry 5. I remember there being a few that were quite high profile games that people were quite happy with. But yeah, I mean, there's a list on Major Nelson's blog. But yeah, any thoughts
I'm not
on
sure of the
FPS Boost?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact list myself, but yeah, I mean, hey, games getting FPS boosted, I mean, great, right? It's not really a bad thing to say about it. It's always great to see the library just continue to grow. I wonder if if some of them were 30 to 60 or if they were just 60 to 120, because obviously the 30 to 60 is more of a big deal, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Being not playing on a TV myself. I don't actually play on a monitor or anything like that to get that 120. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always great to see the library grow and for more games to get added and stuff like that. So
it's almost 100 games now. It's 97 total.
Yeah, just under 100. Yeah,
which is pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find just some sort of
Oh, I've got it here in front of me. It's like I said, it's on Major Nelson's blog. It's hard for me because there's just this sort of a cumulative list rather than this is what's been added. So I'm trying to have a look at what's new. Gears of War 4, I think that was already there. It's funny, Hollow Knight got added, so that goes to 120 frames.
Oh no.
But my TV doesn't do 120 frames anyway, so it's no biggie.
Yeah.
Mad Max, I think, was another one that can now go
I don't
from
think
60
that was on
120.
there, yeah.
Like I said, I know Far Cry 5 was a big one that people were excited about. Metro is to 120, just to go through some big ones. That was already there. Tomb Raider is to 60. Titanfall 2 is already there. Evil Within 2. Smite.
Oh yeah, is that Smite? Oh yeah, Smite was already at 60 though, isn't it? It's just going
Yeah,
into,
120. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's like, let me have a look.
Metro.
As of
Some of the
May-
games.
Oh no, again, this is just an overall. Yeah, the Metro and stuff like that. Yeah, that's on there. Super
Yeah.
lucky fuckboy.
Wasteland 3, Alien Isolation. There were some other big ones. Yeah, Wasteland 3 can go to 60 now, which was nice. It
Whoa,
was only at 30
Sniper
before.
Elite.
Sniper
That's
Elite,
good.
baby. Yeah.
But yeah, always good. Always good.
I think it's someone had made a really good point actually. I saw some chatter about it online, and it was that this sort of hardware end, like optimize, I don't know what you want to call it, enhancement or optimization, it makes the Series S. It makes the Series S even more valuable. Like, of course,
Yes.
it's great on your Series X, but it's like proportionally more important on the Series S because you're buying a budget console and getting premium level frame rates.
Yeah.
And you can see here on the list, for those that don't know, some games will go to higher frame rates on the Series X than they will on the S because it's still taxing on the system, but they've done it in a way where it's less so. So you can see some games aren't available here on the S, which is a bit of a bummer. Like, so for example, Battlefield 5, Dirt 4, Dying Light. Those ones don't seem to be able to be done on the Series S, which is a shame. But nonetheless, I'm just having a quick skim through it. It looks like 80% of them are still available on Series S, which is just it's just really good value.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other thing I just wanted to mention as well was the fact that there are some games where they've made it now so that if there's a frame rate boost and there's no compromises, it's just turned on by default on the Series X. I don't know why it's not turned on by default on the Series S, actually.
That is weird.
I don't know. So on Series X, it's just turned on by default, which is really nice. Obviously, like if you're not privy to any of this, you just boot up a game. Oh wow, super smooth, performing really well. But there are some games where there are like resolution compromises, and I think I spoke to you about this when I did Fallout 4.
Yeah.
There was a small resolution, and they don't get into specifics of what the resolution debuff is. I know some people have done the math somewhere and figured it out, but I don't have that information to hand. And on those games, it's turned off by default.
Okay.
So you have to turn them on, because obviously they don't want you coming into a game which is... I think most people would realistically choose a higher frame rate over, a very small decrease in resolution.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I understand why that's the way. But yeah, it's quite interesting that that's sort of the case with some of the games. But hopefully it remains as minimum as possible. But yeah, no, this is good shit. Because they spoke about this at Series X launched, and nothing ever happened. Obviously, it got delayed, and then we got the first few games. We were like, cool. But this is there was Super Lucky's Tale. It was Watch Dogs 2 or whatever. It was okay. And then they got another few in that was 60 to 120. It was oh, fine, whatever. And then they've just dropped 70. And so this is kind of a big... I actually think this is a really big deal because they must have, obviously they're thinking ahead with this. And they're as people start to play games at 60 frames, it's going to suck to go back to 30 games. So being able to go back and play these legacy games... I've always found it hard, even playing on 1X, going back to play 360 games where the frame rate was not probably maybe a bit less stable, a bit worse. I found that hard, let alone now. So it's really nice playing some of these games because I think we've spoken about it before on the show, but games looking good in motion is something which is really underrated. Taking a screenshot. Whatever, man. Some games look better in screenshot than they do in motion. Some games look worse in screenshot than they do in motion. So what really matters is how it looks when it's moving. And 60 frames, It literally doubles how good it looks. I think people need to understand that it doubles how good it looks. And it performs better. For shooters, first-person games. There's an element of aiming and input lag, and you don't get that because there's less frames to contend with, or more frames, sorry, to play with. So yeah, super cool stuff. I just hope it keeps growing. Dishonored 2 next, please, Phil. If and when you're listening. Did you ever finish Evil Within 1?
No, I didn't. No, got quite close, but didn't quite finish it. I could probably hop back on for quite literally a few hours and wrap it up. Um, but yeah, I never actually finished it. Yeah, I remember talking to you because Evil Within 2 got added, didn't it? But then Evil Within 2 still not on Games Pass yet. So
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously it's still for whatever reason tied up in sales or marketing for other platforms.
Yeah.
So when that period ends, then it will just come to Games Pass. But yeah, it's nice to know that that game one came out a lot later, looks a lot better, and you know when I do get round to it, I can also play it at 60. So that's pretty great.
Yeah. Cool. I did just want to sort of drop a mention here because I know I've never played it, but you kind of liked it. Was Recall? That's got a frame rate boost here. Yeah.
Recall was it was okay. Yeah, I'd go as far as saying I liked it. I thought it was a solid like 6.5, 7 out of 10. You know,
would you like it more at 60 frames?
Yeah, probably, because I think it did have some performance issues. Now I look back, I actually think it kind of ran like poop. So yeah, and I remember it chugging a bit in certain areas and stuff like that. Again, you know, I only went on it for like 4 hours game time maybe. I don't think it's that long a game, so you know that's probably like halfway. But like, yeah, it was good fun. I don't know if it's anything I go back to now, even with the frame boost. But that frame boost, you know, it does kind of make me, you know, if for whatever reason I was like, oh, I'll give Recall another go. Oh, you know, the FPS boost would definitely make me want to do it more.
Yeah.
Which I think is obviously what's so great about this and how the library is just growing. It just incentivizes you to go back and play these titles again or experience them for the first time when you kind of wanted to, you know, when it first released.
Yeah.
You can play it at a better standard. So
definitely. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's just kind of that element of like, yeah, it gives a nice bit of incentive to like go back and try some of the legacy titles. You see it pop up. It's like, oh, I've been wanting to try that for a while. Never got around to that, and you just, yeah. I think because there's something I've wanted to go back to playing BioShock. I think I told you I wanted to play the original, and I just couldn't get into it, man. I don't know what it was. I really tried. I tried for like 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe even longer, and I was just like, I just got to a level, and I just found that the level design was just a bit. It felt really old. Like there was just static enemies just doing their own thing, and like no matter what direction or like what like concoction of like creative, what were they called in that game? The fucking juice things that you use in your arms, the vials or whatever.
Yeah, what were they called?
Yeah. Anyway,
something like cocktails or something.
Yeah, something like that. And no matter what I did, I was just always getting fucked by big daddies and whatever. And I was like, I don't really want to resort to just like pulling the difficulty down. Anyway, I was enjoying what I had played up to that point, and like most of it actually had aged really, really well. But for some reason, I just hit that barrier where I was like, I couldn't go any further. I wasn't finding the combat particularly good, to be honest. It felt quite clunky.
Yeah.
Everything was a bit spongy as well. I don't know. Like I was. I don't know.
BioShock 2 definitely improved in a lot of ways on the first one. The first one was quite good for I mean when it first came out, you know, it was the first, you know, it was still quite new to create a game like that, having like a kind of arcadey shooter but also half suspenseful horror as well, and
well, it's like sandboxy as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was still quite new. It was very new when it first came out, so I think, you know, people appreciated it more.
Yeah, I could definitely see the roots of it, and like,
yeah, I
could definitely see it. Yeah,
but yeah, going back to it now, I agree, because I played BioShock 1 again for the BioShock collection, and it was good. It was fine. BioShock 2 improves on a lot of ways inside of the combat area. It definitely improves in loads of ways. But personally, if you were to go to like a BioShock title, I would 100% recommend Infinite as the best one.
Well, I mean, you'll catch heat for saying that. A lot of people.
I know, but I loved Infinite. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and it's still one of my favourite games ever.
No, I mean, I'm in agreement. I think Infinite's great.
It's top 5 of like my favorite games ever. It was just so good. I don't know. I just really liked it. Like, and I mean, you could even just look at it as not a BioShock game, if that makes people not want to throw Molotov cocktails. You can literally just like get a Sharpie and scribble over the cover and just be like, it's just called Infinite, you know, don't worry about the other part. Because you literally could do that, and then, you know, you probably enjoy it a lot more. Yeah, I thought it was great, so play Infinite.
Basically. Well, what? Yeah, okay. I was just curious if you reminded me that there was a remastered, which I'd forgotten about, because I was like, I wonder if they'll do like, you know, frame rate boost on BioShock, but I'm pretty sure it already ran at 60 on the remastered. So I mean, maybe I'll give it another go.
For it. So to be fair, they did charge a reduced rate. I think they didn't sell it at like 50 quid or 55 quid. Pretty sure it came out at like 30. So they are good games though. They are good games.
Yeah. Awesome. Alright, well, 36-minute intro, no problem. Let's, I guess that was the first story item, so that's not really a big deal.
The FPSs, it's fine.
Yeah, Phil was just waiting for or Major Nelson was just waiting for us to finish last week before he posted it, obviously. Dude doesn't want us spoiling it, you know. Makes sense. Yeah. Alright, well, in some of the ongoing stuff between Apple and Epic, I don't know how much you know about this. Do you know much about the Apple and Epic case? It started only last week, so that's why it's been popping up more.
I don't know too much about it, you know, apart from just the basics, really. It's not something I've kept up with too much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, basic premise, for anyone who isn't familiar with Apple versus Epic, is that they're currently both in court because Epic sued Apple and Apple have countersued Epic. It's one of the most expensive no-use in the world. I'm suing you, no you. Anyway, and it's the thing was Epic had this happened I want to say it was like last year, maybe 2 years ago. Epic had Fortnite on iOS, and then they wanted to start. So they had their regular sort of V-Bucks system in the game, and Apple said no. They said no, we do it differently, because they obviously don't do it. They do it like through the store kind of thing, or whatever. Yes. Whatever it was, they were doing it a different way. So Epic were like, okay, fine, and then they did it. They then added the monetization in a way which bypassed their system, because their system took like 30% of the cart. You know, like, it took all of it, like loads, or maybe more. I don't know. So you know, Epic were like, this is ridiculous, and they pulled Fortnite from the store. They either pulled it from the store or iOS kicked them off. I can't remember which.
I think iOS kicked them off, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think Apple booted them. They were like, if you don't play by our rules, get out.
Yeah, it might be the case. So that's the basically the long and short of it. And the reason why we're talking about it on an Xbox podcast is because Epic called on Microsoft as a witness, or a supporting factor. And obviously it's in Microsoft's favour, because they're also pushing against Apple's like restrictive hold on the App Store, in that they obviously tried to get Xcloud on there via an App Store, and for similar reasons iOS wouldn't allow that to happen. You know, they said, well, if you make an app which has access to loads of other apps, well then we can't individually vet each of the apps within that, the games, which is weird, because Netflix is an app, and I think this is like a judge has already brought this up. iOS has Netflix, which has loads of shows, and they don't vet all of the shows, so how is Xcloud any different? So Xbox are now involved in this as a result, and stuff has been like kind of leaking, because a lot of stuff's being made public knowledge, which since neither company is now happy about, and so they're like requesting a lot of it being made private. It's quite funny, and so one of the things that's come out is emails between Phil and Tim Sweeney, head of or CEO of Epic, suggesting that they want to try and get xCloud on other consoles. Like, this is actually a thing that they want to try and do. And we're kind of joking. I mean, a lot of other shows and podcasts have spoken about like the possibility of xCloud going on Switch or whatever. And then this obviously feeds back into the whole idea of exclusivity. Like, you know, Phil is very much on record saying, you know, a lot of the games, all the games we're making and all the Bethesda games are going to be on platforms where Games Pass is. And we said, I'm pretty sure we said this on the show as well, if Games Pass was on other platforms, you'd see these games on those platforms as well. Yep. So, you know, in these emails, it's pretty clear that is what they do want, which I understand. They want, you know, Netflix of games. The more devices they're on, the more money they make. But it would totally change the way that we view what Xbox is if that started happening.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you could just start basically having, you know, how big Games Pass is now and how big, you know, like xCloud would be if you was running on other platforms. You basically just turn other platforms into an Xbox, essentially.
Yeah.
So you don't even need an Xbox to have an Xbox. You could just
exactly.
Xbox is everywhere. It's in the air we breathe.
But that does make me think, like, what then is the plan for the, like, if they did get Games Pass, you know, I think if they got it on Switch, that would be one thing. But getting it on Switch and PlayStation is different because PlayStation is like their main competitor. So. What happens then? Do they only put some first-party titles on there, or like would it just be Bethesda? Like, I don't know. What would then be their reason to stay in the console market? I guess is what my like reservations would be. Like, what's the deal with that? Because I still think Xbox make the best consoles. But right now, and for the last 5 years, 7 years, whatever, Sony have been making the best games, but I think Xbox have been making the best consoles. So if they then are getting Games Pass on everything else, I don't see why they wouldn't just pull out and be like, buy any console and play Game Pass there. We're a publisher now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
that would make me sad, but like I kind of don't feel like that is the plan. But you know, if they are, I think it strikes me as a like, this is what we want to do. We don't think it will happen, but like that's the direction they want to go in. But I don't know if that would ever happen. That's why they're perfectly content with having 4 different consoles on the market at the moment, because they know that the unifying factor is Games Pass. They want people to look at an Xbox and be like, I can play Games Pass on that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one. I don't really know how they would approach it. Yeah, I think it's kind of just like you said, they're just thinking very far into the future, and it's just like, if it happens, you know, we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get to it. You know, but it's a long battle. It's a battle of attrition. But yeah, it's very interesting to where that would leave just Xbox in general. Yeah, because why? I imagine it would be like you said, like reduce libraries or, you know, only specific content or something.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know, they have to have an incentive for people to still go out and buy Xbox hardware. If they want to continue making Xbox hardware. I don't know. It's hurting my brain to try and think about it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it is weird. But I mean, I'm pretty sure I said in one of the earlier episodes, like, Nintendo or PlayStation would never do this. They would never do. I can't see why, because the deal would be, okay, we're going to put Games Pass on the system, and that means that's going to draw a load of buyers in. Like, we'll take the hit. We'll pay for games to go to the platform. So literally all you have to do is allow access to it. We'll pay for that. And, you know, on the receiving end of it, Sony gets more customers because they get access to a subscription service on their platform.
Yeah.
But what Xbox would get out of that is more subscriptions, and they would want a cut of everyone, if not a majority cut, all of it. So that means instead of buying third-party titles through the PSN, the PlayStation Store, they're going to be downloading stuff through Games Pass. So Sony would be not only losing money, but they would be, it would actively be going towards their like competition then. So like I don't understand like how this would even work. I just don't get it, because they would be losing money.
It makes less sense for Sony and stuff like that, because they're both home consoles, they're both major competitors and stuff like that. It makes a little bit more sense on the Switch, because the Switch has that portable factor and stuff like that. So they're going to get loads more hardware sales out of it, because people are going to be like, oh, I can play all these cool Xbox titles on my Switch too. So then, there's just going to be a lot more Switches sold for the incentive of not only having Nintendo-based games, but also having Xbox publisher games as well. And I don't think Nintendo are quite the home console competitor as Sony and Xbox are. I don't think they're quite butt heads in the same way. So you can see the benefit of it on Switch, I think.
Yeah.
But for Sony, it just I feel like you would just drop that like a board thing, and they'd be like, why? Why would we ever do this? No, get out.
Yeah.
How'd you get in? You're drunk.
Yeah, literally. I would just imagine Jim Ryan being like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it just doesn't. In my head, it just doesn't. I don't see why Sony would go for that. It makes no sense, and there is no benefit for them whatsoever. So let's be fair. We've been hearing rumblings about them doing a competitor, which is like, of course they're going to. Like, of course they're. Yeah. So I don't see that ever happening. I think that's kind of when they first drew up what Games Pass was. I imagine that was kind of in the framework of basically, let's get it everywhere. Let's get it on as many devices as we can, and then we'll go from there. And the way that I could see that coexisting with like a continued manufacture of consoles is if they continue to pump out or invest, which they have been doing for ages, in these kind of features on the Xbox which aren't available on other platforms, like frames per second boost, like auto HDR, like backwards compatibility, like cross-play. They're working on super res as well, which is like kind of up resolution in the same way that FPS boost works. They're working on that as well, we know. So like, unless they have like a full suite of those things that are like, this is enough to make you buy a console outside of the games library, because you can get the games library literally anywhere.
Yeah.
But it would have to be a lot. But yeah, anyway, that's the thing. That's the thing that's happening with it.
Quite the rabbit hole.
It is quite the rabbit hole. And it's not the only thing that has come out of the Apple versus Epic stuff. There's been a lot of leaked screenshots. I think you can. It's a bit further down in my notes. Actually, you can see it. But there's lots of redacted stuff from the slides that they've been showing, which is clearly because they don't want it to be made public knowledge yet. And this is around 2021 game releases, Xbox game releases. Now, some of them there are multi-platform that they've showed, so it's not. But there's enough reason to believe that some of these might be Xbox games, and we just don't know what they are yet. Also, you can see on the portfolio there it says August 2020 edition. So this is old stuff. Like, this is before. Well, it's not before, but this is like it's just before stuff I imagine would have started to get delayed if there was stuff that was due Q2, Q3 in 2021. So, I mean, we've said that supposedly there's more stuff coming this year, whether it's Forza Horizon or there's sort of a secret game coming in 2021. Even if that was real, there's a good chance that that's been pushed back into 2022. But this basically just confirms that there is some more stuff coming soon that we don't know about. Whether soon is 2021 or early 2022, who knows? But this is when I said earlier that this is sort of the stuff that Xbox are like, can we have this private, please? Because this is all linking publicly. So we might not be seeing any more of this, but it's been quite fun the last week, because a lot of the stuff has been leaking, and it's just kind of fun to get a peek behind the curtain.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting.
So yeah, I just wanted to bounce off that. Nothing huge, but other than stuff on the horizon. Now, 343. What is your overall take? Give me your overall take on 343's work with their Halos versus Bungie's Halos?
I don't mind them. I don't think they deserve the hate that they get, in all honesty. I don't really have anything against 343 and the products they've made. I mean, when did they take over? They took over for Halo 4?
Good question. Yeah,
I think
that'd
it was
be just
Halo
before
4.
just before Xbox One, so it'd be 2012, I want to say.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah. Yeah, so Halo 4 released in 2012. Yeah, and then obviously they did 5, and you know the rest. I don't have anything against their Halo products. I think they're pretty good. I think if anything, they just tried to push the boat out, and they just got nerd hate thrown at them like crazy. I think some of their ideas are great. And I think overall, I haven't been disappointed with any of the Halos that I got from them. I still don't. I have much more fond memories of, Halo 3 and Reach and stuff like that. Sure, don't get me wrong. But I think Halo 4 and 5 were perfectly good games, and I do have faith for Halo Infinite as well. So yeah, I mean, my opinion on 343 is good. It's not excellent, but it's good,
Yeah, it's so I mean, it's the reason I obviously bring it up is because there was some news this week about there was an X343 dev talking about his experience working on Halo Infinite, and the dude's been there 8 years, I think he was. Okay. And I don't know if this information came from an interview or if it just came from some tweets or whatever. But to sort of summarise some of the stuff that was said, if you haven't already seen about it or seen it, he said that he thinks Halo Infinite will be a great game, but don't expect a masterpiece. He said that because Halo Infinite is in a semi-open world, the engine needed to be changed significantly, which slowed the team down quite a lot, and he feels that the semi-open world is overly ambitious as well. He says that many of the engine features weren't fully implemented in last year's demo in July. That's why it looked the way that it did. He thinks the story and gameplay are huge improvements over Halo 4 and 5. He said that 343 does crunch. He says a lot of ideas for both multiplayer and single player got cut, including a lot of his own. And he said he's currently working with Certain Affinity, and he's kind of he's glad to be out of 343. Now, those were the original comments that were reported on. He had since, and those comments sound quite mixed, right? Some of them sound fine, some of them sound like
overall pretty negative.
Yeah, overall pretty negative. But he's since put out a video, I want to say yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, sort of clarifying it, and felt that a lot of what he said was taken out of context or twisted to make it sound like 343 was a bad place. And it just makes me sort of think, like, I wonder why that is. There does seem to be just a massive target on 343, and I said this last week, but I really don't envy them at the moment. I don't envy them at all, but especially coming up to Halo Infinite, they just can't put a foot right. Even when, and like a lot of the stuff he clarified was pretty positive. Like just to like go back over that news with what he actually said. When he said he thinks the game's going to be really good, but he says he doesn't think it's going to be a masterpiece. He said that this is mostly, and he said this, but it just wasn't reported on. He said that this is mostly in reference to like hype culture.
Yeah.
And like with Cyberpunk, and it's like sometimes some things get so blown up that it's just impossible to like do that for everyone.
Yeah.
But he says multiple times that he thinks the game's going to be really, really good. So that was that. He says that he does personally think, in his opinion, that the semi-open world is a bit overly ambitious. Like, he did stick to that, but he just said that, there's 500 employees at 343, and that's just his opinion. He doesn't think this is like a factual take. He just thinks that maybe, and this is, for me, like, honestly, this is quite a good thing. Like, a non-ambitious Halo game would have pissed me off more than anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
But
ambition hasn't done them well in the past.
But I don't think it is ambition for 4 and 5.
With just being ambitious, like they have. Like, don't get me wrong, Halo 4 and 5 weren't overly ambitious, but like they were like, I feel like they were just like making changes, but not like in large amounts. You know, they were just like drip feeding changes to see how the community would react. And obviously, the community does not react well to changes to their beloved
to change
Halo
full stop. Yeah.
Yeah, their beloved walk around like a rock and shoot at your hip. You know, I don't want sprint in my game.
Yeah,
but like,
exactly.
you know, and I completely agree. I'd rather than be overly ambitious and try to take the genre in a better direction than just give us more of the same. But then, you know, they have the reputation, and they have this fucking, you know, the public eye on them in a negative view because of the fact they've changed things in previous Halos and people didn't like them. So credit to them for still, you know, doing that and wanting to take Halo to such a vastly different area.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see it as a positive as well, like overall for sure.
Yeah.
Just like I kind of see Halo 4 and 5 as positives. You know, I don't look at those games and think of them in a negative context at all.
No.
Which so many people do. I mean, one of our friends does. For example, he's a little gremlin. But yeah. So I see it as a positive as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and like I said, you know, I watched the whole video of him clarifying it, and like it was a really positive video, to be honest. Yeah, like you said, he said that's like kind of his take on it. He feels the open world is maybe a bit ambitious, but he doesn't say that he thinks it's going to be bad. But he also said that, like, he tied this back into like this thing of like not expecting a masterpiece. He said because it's quite a significant change in how the game plays. It's not going to tick everyone's boxes. You know, so I think literally what he's doing is he's just trying to make expectations healthy.
Trying to ground everyone's expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Which is probably a good thing. But like I said, he said throughout the video multiple times, it's going to be really good. It's going to be great. It's going to be really fun. He said like a lot of the gameplay are really fun, really good. He can't wait to play it himself. Just things like that. So. He overall was really positive, and he sort of spoke about the crunch as well. He said like he was never forced to crunch. He worked there for 8 years. He wouldn't have worked there that long if he didn't enjoy his time. So it's just funny that the whole thing got completely twisted, painted as being really negative, and then the guy comes out and clarifies it. And it's basically like, it was not that bad. It's not bad at all, actually. There is like this real like sort of cultural toxicity towards 343, and it's so weird. And you know, he said multiple times that the team is so passionate, you know, about what they're doing there. Yeah, I do not envy 343. They are in not a fortuitous position, no,
to say the least. It's very tough. I think we literally said it in our last podcast as well. Like, I feel like being the president of the United States is less stressful than making Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's things like multiplayer and single player content and stuff like that being cut. You know, that's quite worrying, and like. And when you combine the fact that you said, you know, the engine was, you know, not performing or needed to be changed significantly to cater for the fact that of this overly ambitious semi-open world, it does make you think that, you know, there's the potential that a lot of this stuff might just come out a bit half-baked, and, you know, there might be just, you know, like large areas with just not much going on, or just like things seeming a bit, you know, just not entirely finished or a bit half-baked. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I think cut content to me is more of a signal of preparedness and like lots of and having lots of stuff. You know, it's not like they're making stuff to plug holes. It's that they have loads and they're just trying to be concise with what they put in.
And
he
prioritizing.
said, right, yeah, and you know, he said that a lot of his stuff was COD as well. But like again in the video, he said like this is really common. You know, he's been working in games for a long time. It's like this is what was happening is not uncommon. He was particularly upset because some of the stuff that he made got cut himself, but he was like, still. Like that happens all the time. Like I said it as an off the cuff kind of thing, but you know again it got taken out of context and kind of twisted as like game dev absolutely enraged as his excellent content has been taken out of Halo Infinite. You know, so it's not really the case. So it's just this kind of thing. I think this, and like you say, if you look at it in that light, it's easy to think that, oh, maybe it could come out half-baked or whatever. But, I mean, they've had the whole extra year. We know the game's been content complete for, like, 18 months now. And they've still got another 6 months. So, like, the stuff that they want in the game, it's going to be there. And I expect it to... At the very least, the game needs to be coming out with, like, a full suite of shit ready to go. And it needs to all be performing well. Like, that's the minimum. Like, I literally won't be creating any excuses for 343 if that's not the case. Because... yeah. Like, we all know what happened with Master Chief Collection, which of course was them as well, which we hadn't spoken about, and that was a fucking disaster.
It was.
So, like, anything less than things working on day... And Halo 5 came out, and that was working fine on day one. But anything, like, if that's the case, then it's like... someone needs to be on the chopping block. Something needs to be happening here. In terms of the quality of the game, you know... I kind of just expect it to be in the 80 Metacritic range, to be honest. I don't expect it to be... Halo 4 was 85, I think. Halo 5 was 84. I kind of expect it to be in that range. I'd love to see it to go higher, but with some of the changes it's making, you know, and the culture around Halo, it's just not going to please everyone. I just think you're kind of fucked with the Halo IP, regardless at this point. So
unless you go back to Bungie.
Yeah, even then, I don't know. For a lot of people, Halo Reach was the turning point.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think if you go back to Bungie be like, we don't want it. We don't want this.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't.
It's like a weight off our shoulders game.
Yeah, thank God. We tried to add powers to super soldiers and everyone got fucking crazy about it. Yeah. Anyway, so that's your Halo Infinite brief for this week. Bit of drama, bit of spicy drama. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and by the way, there was some breaking news on Halo Infinite. Actually, I wanted to put what's his name? Jason Statham. what's his fucking name?
No.
Joseph Statham. You know, the guy who was like come in to like help direct Halo Infinite after the director left like last year or whatever, and he was involved with the original trilogy. He tweeted a bunch of sequences in what seems to look like a video editor. So there's a lot of speculation that this is a Halo Infinite trailer or footage being made for probably for E3. So I just wanted to drop that. So that's, I mean, we're definitely seeing it. This isn't news. They spoke about it in the Inside Infinite, but yeah. All right, let's move on then. So there was just Jeff Grubb had said that the Coalition at the moment are helping with Halo Infinite, which is probably kind of normal, right? I mean, the Coalition is quite big, so I think they probably do have a number of support people just helping out with Halo, doing bits and bobs, making sure it's all polished and ready for the release date. And they also said that they're not working on a new IP, which really makes me sad. He also said that they're not making a Star Wars game. So that's our dreams of the Mandalorian Coalition game is out the window.
For God's sake. We talked about for so long how cool that would be.
Yeah, it really would.
Now we just look like idiots.
Fuck!
They made us look like idiots.
Yeah. God damn it.
But yeah, that is kind of sad because I do think they could use some
it would just be a perfect fit,
creativeness away from Gears, and I do think it would have been a perfect fit for them. Yeah, for sure.
Well, they are making a new IP allegedly, so that is happening. But it's just not Star Wars.
Just not Star Wars.
Yeah, right, which does kind of suck. There was some more news around Fable, our little Fable, and I think probably today's probably not the day to have a big talk about what we kind of want from Fable. I think we'll probably do that in another video, just so we're sort of a bit tighter on time for this one. But we now have it confirmed. A lot of people have been speculating anyway that Fable is being built on Playground's ForzaTech engine. So literally it's being built on the same engine that the Forza Horizon games are built on. A lot of people thought it might be Unreal Engine 5, which is Unreal 5 out yet? It's either coming out really soon or it came out very recently.
I don't think so.
Because I remember there was a lot of talk about Hellblade 2 being ported or moved from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, and that's kind of slowing down development a bit because they want it to look, obviously like a real showcase.
Yeah, no, it's not releasing until later this year.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So that's a lot of people thought maybe it would be Unreal 5, but they're using their own engine, which makes sense. They're more familiar with the engine, they're more comfortable with it, and then it already looks fantastic.
Oh, dude!
So
a Halo game running on
yeah, get Halo on it, sure.
A Fable running on a Forza. The Forza engine would look amazing and insane.
Yeah.
It makes me very happy just to think about that.
My only sort of reservation would be that obviously the ForzaTech engine is kind of catered to photorealism. I imagine they'll stylize it a little bit.
Fable's a bit goofy, isn't it? A bit cartoony in its own way.
But at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing their own take on it. I kind of feel like we need to be treating Fable as a. Oh no, I'm doing it. We need to be treating Fable as a blank slate. So if they want to either take it in a photorealistic direction, or they want to be more stylized, let's fucking do it, guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I would definitely prefer if they kept a similar style to the original Fables. I do quite like Fable's art style.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to go photorealism, I wouldn't start burning down their houses.
Yeah.
I'd be up for seeing their own take on it. I always am. But yeah, I think overall I'd be slanting towards keeping it, a similar vibe to what it is, but just, making it look insane in that engine. And I just want a Fable game, dude. I'll take anything. I even wanted Fable Legends. No, was it Fable Legends? Which was the
Fable
one
Legends.
Where, which was the one that was? They also released some crappy cartoony one as well. That was Fable Heroes, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, like the arcade game. Yeah, they did the arcade game, and then they did Fable: The Journey, which was a Kinect game.
But yeah, Fable Legends was the one where you were like, someone was like the villain.
That's right.
Creating this, I loved the idea of that, and we played that when we went to go to Eurogamer like fucking such a long time ago now.
Yeah.
And I was actually pretty hyped for that game, and it got canned, and I was like, I just want a bit of Fable in my life.
Yeah, it's the first of many. Yeah, no, and do you know what? That game looked really good for the time. It looked really good.
Did. Yeah, it looked excellent. Yeah, I remember it now. I think if I still look at some gameplay of it even now, like just whip up YouTube, I genuinely think that game looks alright.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago.
It really was. It's just so weird, that one. Cause I don't know what happened. I don't know how. Obviously it was Lionhead. I don't know, maybe they were just taking longer than they wanted them to.
It really just looked like a 99% completed product, and it was really weird. Yeah, so that was that must have been in like 2015 or late 2014.
Yeah, we played it in 2013, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like we played it. We played it at the same Eurogamer. We went and played like Evolve and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
I remember Evolve was releasing literally like 3 months later from that point we played it at Eurogamer.
Yeah.
And then that Eurogamer must have been in like either really late 2014 or early 2015. But I really liked the look of it, and I was very shocked when it got canned, because I was literally just like, I swear this game's releasing in like a week. Why is it not releasing?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird one, 'cause the thing is, I don't think I never got to play as a hero. I only played as a villain.
Yeah. And
it was fine playing as a villain. Like, it was kind of fun. I think it would have maybe, I don't know. We don't know like what progression systems would have been in, but I think it would have gotten old. I don't know. I think it would have like hit 70s on Metacritic or whatever.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a weird one. I think maybe they just got a bit excited trying to chase that trend, because that was a thing, wasn't it, around like the 2010s, of like 4-player co-op and somebody else is the enemy, like the fucking monster or whatever, like Evolve or Fable Legends. There were a couple more that I can't remember right now. But that was like a thing for a while.
It was.
So anyway, I'm sure they've repurposed some of the assets from that and stuff. But
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they wouldn't.
I'm sure it will continue to look beautiful in ForzaTech, but we'll have to see.
Hopefully, yeah.
Next up is Iron Galaxy. I remember I couldn't remember the name of these guys a couple of podcasts ago. These are the guys who made Killer Instinct 1, and obviously Killer Instinct 1 has aged really, really well. A lot of people like swear by that game, think it was like an amazing reboot. And just an amazing, one of the best fighters in the last decade. And we know, we've spoken about this before as well, a lot of insiders have said that they're looking for a studio to make the IP. Like, they want to make a sequel, but they just don't know who to do it yet. And I think Iron Galaxy were bought out by Stadia a while back, and obviously that's gone to shit, so they're probably independent again. So they went on the record this week just saying they wouldn't rule out doing a Killer Instinct 2 if they were approached for it. So do it, Phil.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like it's a no-brainer, right? Like,
it's got to be.
Yeah, I feel like Phil would absolutely approve that. Like, that game brought loads of people over to Xbox, and it had like a big, quite a big following, a big pro scene. Like loads of like tournaments and stuff like that. You still see like Killer Instinct and stuff like that. Like, it's still going.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got a big community behind it, and I'd absolutely. Phil should do it. It's weird if he doesn't.
Yeah,
I'd love
definitely.
To see, Killer Instinct 2.
Yeah, especially coming off the success of the first, it'll only get bigger and better, really. And do you know what? Killer Instinct always looked really good.
Really good. Yeah, the particle effects were amazing in that game.
Yeah.
Like with the combo breaks and the moves and like, they just looked amazing. Yeah. They really looked nice. I remember seeing like I can't remember the fire guy, but when he like launched fireballs at you and stuff like that, and it like broke off your defense and like sparks went everywhere and like fizzled out and stuff like that, I was like, this is fucking great. And I was like, this is fucking so good. Yeah. And that was built on like base tech, like a Killer Instinct
launch game, pretty much.
Insane. Yeah, it was. It would look insane on a Series X. My God.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really feel like now that they're, I mean, if I'm remembering this correctly, and it is Iron Galaxy who were bought by Stadia and now, or maybe Amazon, and now aren't anymore. I feel like I feel like this is a team that Xbox should be picking up immediately, like if they are open to acquisition, because they must be looking for a studio that can do fighting games, because they're quite rare, they're quite hard to come by, and when they are, they're usually very specialised. It's like that's all that they make, and these guys are clearly capable of doing that. Like you say, no brainer.
Yeah, seems like a no-brainer. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard we had some news in the coming weeks around that. Around Phil whipping out his wallet again.
Yeah.
Buying them up.
Okay. Well, the long-awaited Psychonauts 2 has kind of been on the tip of everyone's tongue for a long time. Because it's just kind of... we know that they got a bit of extra Xbox cash money, cash dollar, to like polish the game up a bit more and add boss fights back into the game. Because obviously the game was crowdfunded. Which is part of the reason why it's still coming to PlayStation, because as part of the crowdfunding promise, it was originally promised to be on PS4. It might not be coming to PS5, just to make everyone aware, because the original promise was PS4 and Xbox One, and now because Xbox own Double Fine, it's probably going to be PS4, Xbox One and Xbox Series X, so you'll still be able to play it on PS5 through backwards compatibility, but it won't be, it won't have all the fancy touch-ups and everything. Probably, that's what seems to be the case from like the website and everything. But anyway, it appeared on the Microsoft Store and could be downloaded, which was kind of weird for like an hour earlier this week.
Wow.
So, but then it was taken down before anybody like finished downloading it and like could boot it up, even if you were allowed to. So this strikes me as like a hot drop at E3. This is a hot drop at E3.
Absolutely, yeah. Psychonauts 2 available for download today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tim Schafer comes out, does that. Maybe Jack Black gets on stage, finger guns a couple of times, boom, ready to download.
Easy money. It definitely seems that way based on that. Just like someone flipped the switch a little bit too early.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, either that or
a month too early.
Yeah, like fuck, it's still May. Yeah, and like they released a couple more screenshots for it, and things like that, and it's it looks really good, man. I'll tell you what, I'm surprised every time I see the screenshots because I don't think the gameplay we saw of it last year really did it justice because they just showed a load of wacky shit. I think to give everyone a feel for like the tone of the game more than as a graphical showcase. But it looks really good. I mean, it's not like Ratchet and Clank levels of good because Insomniac are like 4 times the size and have a much bigger budget. It wasn't a crowdfunded game, but it looks really good still. Like, it looks very colourful. It's popping a lot. I'm excited to play it, to be honest. I am, because, and as well, the original Psychonauts just went on Games Pass. And I thought I've been umming and ahhing to download it and give it a go, but it's like very old. It's very old.
Yeah, it's an extremely old game, yeah.
So I don't even know if I would be able to stomach it. Because that will be running at like 15 frames, and I don't know. Yeah, 2005, man. But I mean, it is. Like I said, you look at the screenshots, and it's still a 16:9 aspect ratio. Like, it's a square. Like, that's how old it is. But I have been tempted to just maybe hop into it for like the first hour and just give it a go and get a vibe for it. But because it's been such a long time, I don't really have. It'll be like almost 20 years. You know, I don't have any doubts that they will. I won't need to have played the first one, kind of thing. That they'll catch everyone up. But like, just to like sort of reiterate, Psychonauts came out to an 88 on Metacritic. Well, that's how good the first one was.
Yeah, wow.
So, like, where is this fucking game? So, yeah, hopefully it is a shadow drop because it's, I think this, we could be looking at a Game of the Year contender with, that sort of score. With, It Takes Two was 88, Ratchet, I mean, we have Returnal was like 85, 86. Ratchet and Clank will probably come out high 80s as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll see that at E3, 100%.
Yeah.
Or the release date will just be, they'll announce a release date and it'll just be right around the corner.
Yeah.
Or it just gets dropped immediately. But yeah, we'll definitely see some kind of Psychonauts 2 bomb drop, 100%.
Yeah.
If not,
agree.
then I quit the podcast.
And that's our fucking threat, Tim Schafer. Get it out. Alright, next up is Bethesda Game Studios, responsible for Skyrim and Fallout, or Elder Scrolls and Fallout, oops. Might have another game in development next to Starfield, Elder Scrolls and Fallout 76. So, BGS, Bethesda Game Studios, Austin, are seeking a server engineer to help create and improve systems for an unannounced title in their legacy of creating AAA games. That was a quote directly from the job listing. And that's unannounced, right? So this isn't Starfield. This isn't the next Elder Scrolls. We could possibly be looking at a Fallout 5. That's not announced yet, right?
Yeah, potentially.
And they're a big team, so that is possible. I don't know what I'd want from a Fallout 5. I still feel like a baby in the Fallout universe. I don't really know what I'd want.
Yeah,
I want it to look a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. It could definitely use with some more vibrant enemy designs and a little bit more colour. I understand you can't add too much colour to a world that's been nuked, but you could probably make the enemies look a lot nicer.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and made the weapons look a little bit more interesting and stuff like that. But like, yeah, there's not Fallout's weird. It's one of those games you can't change too much. It just is what it is, and you just build on it and improve it. But you can't change the general like aesthetic of it too much. You're kind of bottlenecked in that sort of area a little bit. Whereas something like Elder Scrolls, you could just be like, oh, you're going over here to the Black Marshes, everything's swampy and mushroomy and underwater, or you're going over here to Skyrim where everything's mountainy and snowy. They have a lot more to play around with. But then I don't know, maybe they could try out different biomes in Fallout.
Yeah, I definitely think they could. I think it's a good point. I'd like to see like some different environments. Like, because I was always curious, like.
I mean, snow would still exist after a nuke, right?
But like, yeah. Well, what would happen? What happened to the rest of the world in like the Fallout universe? Like, because it's all America. Like it all takes place in America.
Fallout 5 in Britain.
Yeah, I know, right? Sorry, my rabbit's fucking chewing my wire. Get off! Such an idiot.
Live podcast moments.
Yeah.
Your rabbit chews your wire.
He just started rubbing his chin up against it, and I was like, actually, I might have a bite of this spicy hay. All right.
That is a good point, though. Yeah, you could take it in different areas, like like UK or like I know like a really cool like Japan, but like a fucking like a nuked ass like Tokyo city sort of thing.
Yeah.
Similar to New Vegas. That'd be kind of cool.
I do feel like there's a lot you can play around with there because it's like alternate history, nuclear, like post-apocalyptic thermonuclear kind of shit. But I know a big part of the aesthetic is obviously it's like the game's permanently stuck in like hyper technological 60s, like American 60s, and I guess over here as well, like UK 60s as well. But that you wouldn't have quite the same impact in maybe Japan or other areas of the world. But I think you could do more with it, and I think you make a good point. I'd like to see other areas. Snowy Fallout would be sick. That would be a good graphical showcase. There always is. Snow always is.
Love me some footprints.
Yeah. But I mean, this has got to be, coming to think of it, this has got to be Fallout 5. But it's a server engineer?
Yeah, so it makes you think it could be...
could have multiplayer elements.
Multiplayer based. Some kind of online element to whatever game they're making for server stability and stuff like that. Which makes you think it could be another shared world thing, similar to Fallout 76 or something as well. Maybe an Elder Scrolls 77.
77. Elder Scrolls 77.
Calling it.
Dovahkiin just walks out of one of the vaults.
The podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing.
The stakes are so high. I mean, it does surprise me a bit, because I would have thought that, to contrast against Fallout 76 a bit, they would have just been like, this is purely single player, you won't see another player in ever. I mean, maybe like just like strict co-op or something, I don't know, or maybe it's like asymmetric. I could see that in some ways, some like asymmetric multiplayer, like Dark Souls kind of like, or Death Stranding with Fallout. That would work, right?
Yeah.
Turn it into a roguelike. Turn Fallout into a roguelike. Boom, done, sorted.
Yeah, boom, done. I'll leave the podcast. On every note.
Yeah. Make it happen or I leave the podcast. We're literally no one. Like our threats are nothing.
No, what are you talking about? They will happen. They'll have to happen.
Okay. Next up, allegedly, and this is fairly new news as well, and it's that time. It's 10th episode. It's that time. Oh. It's Starfield time. Microsoft.
The end.
Yeah.
It might not be Starfield.
Oh yeah. You're not safe from me, baby. Microsoft has already purchased ad time for Starfield in 2021, according to Special Ed on the Xbox Era podcast. So that means there might be ads coming out soon that imply that Starfield is coming out, or explicitly say that Starfield is coming out in 2021. Or rather, there are ads for it in 2021.
Yeah,
one or the other.
Yeah, they could be an ad for it in 2021 saying it's coming out in February 2022.
Yeah,
like,
right.
that's still a thing. But yeah, that does speak to the fact that the release date's not crazy far. Like, I would imagine in the first half of 2022, like, definitely, probably first quarter, because you don't really start advertising your game and then just be like, drop in September 2022, because it's just like, well, why are you advertising?
Unless you're Halo Infinite. Yeah, unless you're Halo Infinite. Yeah.
But that doesn't really make any sense. So you kind of would expect that to be like late 2021 or early 2022, definitely. But yeah, cool. Yeah, that's very cool.
Cool. I mean, it literally changes nothing because we just report on exactly the same shit with Starfield every week, and we've done so for 10 weeks. We've said it will be rendered. Yeah, or quarter 1 2022, and we just change the word and the structuring of the sentence and just say it again every week, and that's news. Yeah, and that's
why
news.
They come back.
Exactly. Who knows? There was actually a little bit of concept art which supposedly leaked. I'll send it to you after the podcast actually, and I keep saying to you, I don't really know. None of us know what Starfield is, but every morsel I get about it, I keep getting really fucking buzzed about it. Because I'm like, this is like, it's like near future sci-fi intergalactic travel. Like, that's really fucking cool. Like, because usually with these sorts of games they're like high fantasy. If they're like an adventure or exploration type of game where like you don't know what the universe is and you're just going to explore it, like something like Dark Souls, like dark fantasy, whatever, something like Breath of the Wild, high fantasy, Skyrim, high fantasy, and that's always like the vibe. So like when you're going into the unknown, it's like, I wonder what goblin or skeleton's going to be. Oh, a sword. But like, what is like that doesn't really translate to like a sci-fi like space kind of, like you swing around the back of a planet and there's like a a star eater just sitting there, or like a space whale, I don't know. So it's just like, and a lot of the like concept arts for the ships there were just really cool, and I was just like, this game could be really something very, very cool. So it's just a little bit more of that, of me getting tingly in my bum about this game.
Space whales would be cool.
Space whales, who knows?
Absolutely, that's a necessity for me now that you've said it.
Do you know what? I regret saying it actually now, because there almost certainly won't be space whales.
There's never going to be a space whale.
No, because it's
absolutely not.
Okay. And just to wrap the podcast off today, there are some more dynamic backgrounds coming, according to Major Nelson's blog, which is nice. I've always been a big fan of dynamic backgrounds, and I'm looking at it right now, actually, on my lovely 4K TV behind me, and they're all really, really nice. But there needs to be more options. I think there are a couple. I think there's like an OG Xbox One. There's a couple of, there's like a Spectly one or whatever. So there's a couple more coming.
That's cool.
I want some game related ones like Sony's do. So Sony's ones are the best. They like, you can buy some separately. Yeah. Some come with pre-downloads. Some of them are like partially animated. Some of them are like fully animated. But they're just really nice. And do you know what's even better? That they have their own like music jingles, which is just so fucking cool.
Their own themes, yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like you turn it on, and like for Horizon, you'll get like a little like mechanical roar in the distance, or like you'll scroll and it has its own sound like notes. And I want that sort of stuff on Xbox because I love that. I think that stuff is so cool.
It's a really nice touch. Yeah,
definitely.
It's I would absolutely love to see that, and I'd be happy to spend like £6-7 on one as well.
Oh yeah,
just whip it on, because I mean these are nice. I think I have like a moving like orange background or something. It looks okay, but it's not. I mean, the tech's been there for a while. I could literally just right click on my desktop right now and do that, and I could have done that in 2010.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me more.
Yeah, give me more. So that's that really. That kind of concludes our episode of Quick Cuisine Podcast today. Thanks for coming, everyone. Any closing words from you, Tim, before we wrap up?
No. Episode 10 though, we did it.
Episode 10.
It was the special edition.
Limited edition, special edition.
You guys found it special, right?
Yeah.
You noticed it was a special edition.
Absolutely. I mean...
No, there's not really much from me to wrap up. There's some pretty cool stuff, some controversial stuff. It'd be quite interesting to see how everything plays out with Halo Infinite, because that was some spicy stuff going on there.
Mm-hmm. We're closing in on E3, aren't we?
Yeah, we are
closing in on it.
exactly. And we'd like to see that hot trailer that's clearly coming out, which will hopefully give us some lovely gameplay. We can see all the lovely half-baked features, and it'll be wonderful. That's sarcasm for anyone listening there. That was pure
More
sarcasm.
Craig. More Craig.
Yeah. But no, I'm going to go play some more Season 9 Apex.
Understandable.
That's my closing statement.
I'll meet you there. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll speak to you this time next week, probably. Have a good time. Have a good week. Stay healthy. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.